a crossroads of rich culture and history. Unspoiled nature, fascinating people, and great adventures meet. This is Bohol. There are two icons that are distinctly Boholano. One of them spreads as far as the eyes can see, a wonder that took millions of years in the making. These are the chocolate hills of Bohol. Over 1,200 earthen mounds sprawled on a vast landscape. Their colors shed as the seasons change. Beneath the summer sky, when the blazing heat would dry up the grassy blanket, the hills turn brown, inspiring a visiting American professor to first dub these unusual formations after the similarly shaped chocolate kisses. The hills are strewn throughout the towns of Butuan and Sagbayan, but the best view can be had from the lookout point in Carmen, where most of the land was once submerged under a shallow sea. Throughout the passage of time, the earth shifted, pushing up coral deposits and creating what is now considered a national geological monument. As famous as the hills, perhaps even more so, is this adorable creature, the tarsier. One of the world's smallest primates, this tiny bundle of fur can sit comfortably on your palm of your hand. The average adult weighs about 120 grams and grows no taller than 100 centimeters. Their huge protruding eyes are larger than their brains, providing perfect night vision for these nocturnal critters. And just like owls, they can rotate their heads 180 degrees. Tarsiers are predominantly found in Bohol and in certain southeastern parts of the country. But because of illegal poaching and the dwindling forests that serve as their habitat, they have been listed as an endangered species. These shy and nervous animals cannot survive outside of their natural environment. Once held captive, they will bash their heads against the enclosure until they die. At the Philippine Tarsier Foundation, a private non-stock non-profit organization, a sanctuary has been set up for these miniature ambassadors of Bohol. Here, in a forested reserve of over 8 hectares, they are cared for by a man who possesses an encyclopedic knowledge of tarsiers, aka the Tarsier Man.
Yung dito lang sa sanctuary, yung owned by the foundation 8.4 hectares at saka yung sa government, yung timberland, 167 hectares. Mayroon kaming rough estimate, more or less mga 1,000.
Pizarra's lifelong dedication to the study of the preservation of tarsiers has led to one subspecies being named after him, Carlito serecta.
Ito yon, bagong pangalan na yon, yung Tarsius Carlito serecta.
Visitors are encouraged to learn more about these endangered animals at the Foundation's museum before observing them in their natural habitat.
Yung sa mga captivity, ano yan, malabo yan, tatagal. Kasi pag sobra silang stress, mag-commit sila ng suicide. Pag ilagay mo yon sa cage, inuuntog yung ulo doon sa cage, parang gusto silang lumabas. Kasi manipis yung cranium, yan, mag-blood clot, mag-crack. Or yung iba, hindi humihinga, gumaganon. Alam namin kasi yung mata, lumalaki. Yung itim, lumalaki yung itim. Tapos may ingay na parang nandun sa ilalim. Tingnan mo, patay na. Yan ang problema namin dito. Kaya nga, mas maganda na huwag na yung ilagay sa cage. Ganito na lang. Maggawa na lang tayo ng sanctuary na parang tumatagal yung mga buhay ng tarsier at dumami na naman. Pag gusto nilang makakita ng buhay talaga yung nasa natural habitat, pupunta na lang kayo dito sa Tarsier Foundation.
Bohol is home to an exotic array of creatures. Some of them can be found in the animal sanctuary at Philip Tarsier Recreation. The menagerie of colorful plumage is set like a jewel amid the beautifully landscaped grounds of Panglao Island's only wildlife and botanical garden, home to over 3,000 species of plants. Built as a sanctuary for the soul, Philip Tarsier is a brainchild of the Musang, a French-Filipino couple. The wife, Patricia, is an avid equestrian who opened a horse riding school within the grounds. The place also has something for the culturally inclined guests. Just above Cafe Exotica, which serves Parisian-inspired pastries, is a museum of European, Asian, and African arts. A cabinet of curiosities collected by the owners through the years. No visit to Bohol is complete without a leisurely cruise down the famous Lubok River. The trip begins at the tourism complex of Lubok, 25 kilometers from Tagbilaran. For an extra price, guests can indulge in a buffet on board one of several floating restaurants before the journey begins. As paired outrigger boats glide through the winding river, passengers enjoy the lush, verdant view as well as a heartfelt serenade. Here along the banks, teeming with coconut trees and nipa palms, the island's early inhabitants first settled before the Spaniards came. One of the highlights of the trip is the Busay Falls. Only 12 meters wide and 4 meters deep, it is a favorite bathing site for local kids. At nightfall, the cruise takes on an entirely different tone, as pockets of colorful lights along the banks turn the Serpentine River into a place of enchantment. Whether the cruise is by day or by night, guests will certainly be entertained by a rousing cultural performance from the locals. The riverside also plays host to a different kind of music. Every Friday and Saturday evening, after the return journey of the last cruise, the Children's Palace at Lubok Tourism Complex rings with music performed by the young brass band. Composed of students from grades 3 to high school, the Lubok Youth Ambassadors Band brings the house down with their pulsating rendition of everything from Broadway show tunes to well-loved scores interspersed with folk songs to serve as counterpoint. They even have their own CD album. For the audience, it is a night of entertainment and fun relief. But for the band members, it is more than just a display of their remarkable talents. These young musicians are the beneficiaries of a poverty alleviation program initiated by the Lubbock Youth Education Association. To date, the project has sent 98 students to college. Aside from the brass band, the famous Lubbock Children's Choir also holds concerts at the same venue when they are not touring abroad. Bohol is steeped in heritage, where the people wear the colors of their ancestors with pride and keep their past alive through the universal language of music and movement. This is Princess Waji, a warrior who led the people against the enemy after the men in her clan died fighting. She is a guardian of the Abatan River, one of the 3 major rivers in the province and the source of life for the communities living along the banks. Large ethnic vessels used to ply these waters, reaching as far as Borneo and East India, long before the Spaniards came. The story of the river is the story of Princess Waji and the children of Abatan. Retrace their past and get a glimpse of their way of life as you follow over 13 kilometers of meandering waterway. The Abatan River Life Tour is an eco-cultural cruise. Guests get up close and personal with the natives at the village centers set up along the fertile, overgrown banks. The locals will not only perform a repertoire of folk songs and dances, they will also demonstrate the skills passed on by their forebears, from crafting shingles using nipa palms to weaving baskets and milling corn. Guests will experience how life is like in a coastal community and how the Indios clung desperately to their faith and valiantly defended their freedom against the Spanish colonizers. The riveting reenactment alone is worth the entire trip. Above a roaring river, brave souls inch along steel cables hanging on to dear life. But any misstep is checked by steady safety harnesses. At the 20-hectare Eco Park, you begin with the Tamer Canopy Walk, a refreshing trek across the Molave plant rope bridge suspended over the rainforest. Then find out how far you can go on the 45-meter-long Monkey Bridge before taking a ride on the zip line set 150 meters high. The thrills hardly end there. At Danao Adventure Park, 72 kilometers from the capital, test your mettle as you go through 3 levels of activities designed to push you to your limits.
The level 1, you just did that. The sky ride for the chickens, the least scary ride is the sky ride. You just sit back, it's a cable car ride.
The Sky Ride is a scenic tour of the deep gorge framed by densely forested mountains. This is just a walk at the park compared to the next activity.
Level 2, you move up to the suicide slide, which will let you zip across the canyon. Varying speeds depends on body weight. You'll be at least about 200 meters above the gorge when you do that.
bombs away. Those are the final words you'll hear as you zip across the sky like a bird. Any lingering fear inevitably melts away as you drink in the pristine view along the 1.5-kilometer ride.
The level 3, the ultimate experience, the plunge. This is the highest canyon swing in the world. The ramp is at least 180 meters above the gorge, and you will do a free fall and then you swing across the canyon. Based on our records, 6 out of 10 plunge riders are women. Are you woman enough to do the plunge?
Your adrenaline skyrockets as you free fall from the highest canyon swing in the world and peaks as you hit terminal velocity. Once you reach the end of the drop, you swing between the lush mountains, cradled by a calm sense of well-being. The park also offers a dozen more adventures for the intrepid, while taking an active role in community building. A portion of the proceeds are channeled to programs to support scholars and promote environmental conservation. As a favorite tourist destination, Bohol has plenty of first-class accommodations for the more discriminating clients. Top of the list is Amorita, a luxurious resort perched above Panglao Island.
Amorita is nestled atop a seaside cliff that overlooks the whole of the Alona Beach stretch and the whole island of Panglao. So we are always very happy to tell everyone that from here you can see the whole Alona Beach, and then you could actually have like 180 to 270 degrees view of the whole Bohol Sea and the neighboring islands as well.
Guests are spoiled by the exemplary service of its staff and the mouth-watering array of dishes from the restaurant.
Cheers! Cheers! Cheers!
The resort invites its guests to take an international gastronomic expedition by sampling some of the finest authentic dishes served at local restaurants run by Europeans, all in one evening. Bohol by Night, the first of its kind in the province, is a treat that unfolds through several sumptuous courses of Italian, Spanish, French, and German cuisines. As the establishments are located near each other, guests can choose to walk off their meals in between while enjoying the sights. Nowhere in Bohol will you find such a high concentration of prime hotels and accommodations like in Panglao Island. From the island's first resort, the exclusive Bohol Beach Club. To the recently launched boutique hotel Amaraya. To the rustic Bohol Bee Farm, where they also serve one of the most popular buffets this side of Bohol. If you're looking for a destination that is easy on the pocket, visit the newly opened Bohol Cocoa Farm, set amid acres of plowed fields where the produce goes into the hearty native dishes served at the restaurant. The resort is also the first agri-tourism park in the island. Guests learn about eco-agricultural practices, including how the locals use the bamboo skywalk to harvest the sap from coconut trees. Want a side dish of culture served with your pork adobo? Then head to Cafe Lawis, set in the atmospheric 17th century convent building just across the local parish of Dawis, Church of Our Lady of Assumption Shrine Parish. The cafe houses a small museum gallery filled with interesting curios and a spacious courtyard where a romantic moonlit dinner by the river is something you don't want to miss. Back on the mainland, there are also plenty of lodging and dining options for every type of tourist. The Lubbock River Resort, next to the placid waters of its namesake, is one such place. A charming tropical hideaway with interiors inspired by nature. It is a quiet oasis for couples and families. At the historic green village of Balilihan, a town in Tagbilaran City, a cozy bed and breakfast awaits guests traveling on a shoestring budget. Jardin de Balilihan is favored by European tourists who enjoy its tranquil environment and its menu of authentic Balilihan foods. The province of Bohol was a stronghold of Roman Catholicism in the 17th century. The presence of so many Catholic churches built in the Spanish colonial period is an enduring evidence of this. Today, the religion brought by Spaniards more than 300 years ago still pervades in the daily life of Boholanos, and the stone churches still stand as towering symbols of their faith. Along the banks of the Lubbock River stands the San Pedro Apostol Church. Its long history is best reflected in the merging of two distinct architectural forms in its design. The Baroque style, courtesy of the Jesuits, and the neoclassical addition of the Augustinian Recollects. Dating back to 1638, the church was first built by the Jesuits, but was passed on to the Recollects when the former were expelled from the country. Today, it is the second oldest church in Bohol. Adjacent to the church is a 3-story convent that now houses the Museo de Lubbock. A rather comical attraction near the church is the unfinished bridge that was named the Alfonso Oy Promenade. What was once a white elephant and a glaring example of how not to build a bridge has been turned into a hanging garden and perhaps the town's most amusing tourist spot. The main seat of the Roman Catholic Church in Bohol is St. Joseph the Worker Cathedral in Tagbilaran City, the oldest parish in Bohol. Completed in 1855, the cathedral replaced a smaller church that burned down in 1798. Since then, it has undergone several major renovations that gave the facade and interiors a more modern look. The altars, however, still showcase the Baroque and neoclassical styles that date back to the 18th and 19th centuries. The church is centrally located along the main avenue of the city, right across the Plaza Rizal Park and a stone's throw away from the provincial capital complex. Sitting along a plateau overlooking the sea is the Santissima Trinidad Parish. It was constructed in the 1800s and, like a lot of Catholic churches, exhibits the cruciform architecture. The ceiling is bathed in colorful paintings of religious images and biblical scenes. The three-tiered bell tower stands as a separate structure a few meters from the church. Situated in one of Bohol's oldest towns is yet another piece of history. The San Nicolas de Tolentino Church in Dimiao. It is not known when exactly the church was built, just that it was sometime in the 1800s. Its facade and twin bell towers, however, attest to its enduring presence dating back to more than a century ago. In recognition of its historical and aesthetic relevance, the National Museum has declared the church a national cultural treasure. Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish in Balilihan is one of the newer churches in Bohol, having only been completed in the early 20th century. Its architecture and design, however, make it just as worthy to be counted among the treasured historical structures in the province. The Balilihan Church follows a traditional cruciform style. The ceiling is adorned with the paintings of Rey Francia, a Visayan artist whose religious artworks have been showcased in churches across Bohol and Cebu. The Church of Our Lady of Light holds the honor of being the biggest church in Bohol. It is also arguably the most beautiful among the 19th century churches in the province. With its imposing Baroque-inspired facade and magnificent interiors, it sits in a plateau about 50 meters above sea level. Connecting the church and the new town to the old Loon town site is a long stairway of 174 stone steps, the Inang-Angan. Built in 1847 until 1849, the stairway continues to serve as a vital link between Lower and Upper Loon. Also located within the church complex are the Morada, a hexagonal mortuary kiosk, and the Cementerio de Mamposteria, a Spanish circular cemetery. In 2010, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines declared the Loon Church as a historical landmark. The Inang-Angan, Morada, and the Cementerio de Mamposteria were also recognized as national cultural treasures. Guarding the shores of southern Bohol is a triangular watchtower. Its stone walls bear the marks of time, but still stand strong and proud facing the sea. The Punta Cruz watchtower in the town of Maribojoc was built in 1796 as a lookout post against marauders and pirates. Today, it is a popular tourist attraction that offers visitors a stunning view of the neighboring islands of Cebu and Siquijor. Another Spanish heritage in Maribojoc is the Santa Cruz Parish, built in the second half of the 19th century. Its facade is not as ornate as those of other churches in the province, but still, it reflects the distinct Spanish colonial architecture. The ceiling, a pleasant contrast from the plain exterior, features the intricate paintings of Rey Francia. The Santa Monica Church in the town of Albuquerque, or Albur to the locals, was built in the late 1800s. Before the stone church was constructed, the previous structure was built of light materials such as wood and bamboo. The current church features elegant stone arches on the main entrance and a portico that leads up to the Moorish-inspired square bell tower. One of the oldest churches in the Philippines and probably the most famous in Bohol is the Baclayan Church, located just 6 kilometers from Tagbilaran City. Construction started in 1717, with native forced laborers hauling coral stones from the sea and cutting them into square blocks. The blocks were piled on top of each other and bonded together with egg white. The church was completed in 10 years and remains today as one of the best preserved structures from the Spanish era. Nestled on a plain in Panglao Island is the Church of San Agustin, a 20th century structure that still incorporates elements of Spanish colonial architecture in its design. Its intricately carved altars feature the icons of St. Augustine, St. Joseph, and the Blessed Virgin, while the ceiling is embellished with murals depicting the 7 sacraments and other religious images. Also in Panglao Island is the Church of Our Lady of the Assumption, built in the 19th century in the town of Dawis. Whether you believe in life-changing miracles or not, one thing is certain: Bohol leaves visitors feeling transformed, renewed by her vibrant heritage and untamed beauty. And warmth by her hospitality. Bohol is truly a one-of-a-kind destination. Bohol has it all. It's all in Bohol.